and welcome to Tech It with Jessica. I'm here with Eric Herzog. Eric, thank you very much for joining.
Oh, thank you for inviting us. We really appreciate it.
Eric is the Chief Marketing Officer and also VP of Worldwide Storage Channels at IBM. You have an impressive record and you've done storage for many years. We would love to get insights from the marketing point of view, the practice, and also the technology, IBM's innovation.
Sure. Great. Love to help.
I think the first thing I think the audience should be aware is IBM has such a trusted brand name, over 2,000 patents last year, and a lot of the imperatives are showing positive results. So could you please share a little bit more about how IBM is doing?
Sure. Well, IBM had to transform itself. It's actually done this once before in the 90s under Lou Gerser, and now Gene Rometty has been doing it for the company. We've been refocusing on what we do and how we do it. Making sure that we're hitting all of the new markets, things like cloud, artificial intelligence, these are key things. IBM is often a leader in putting together patents, and so we've made sure that as we patent this stuff, what we're doing is able to turn it into real products that drive revenue for our clients. In the past, sometimes IBM has put all kinds of patents out that IBM never actually productized. That was nice, and it makes you look great, but it doesn't help you grow revenue and certainly doesn't help your customers. So IBM under Ginny has made sure that we're doing the right kind of research. We take that research, translate it into real products that drive real revenue, profit for our clients. And that's what we've done. And that has led to this transformation and a switch from sort of a more traditional product company to one that's combining products with solutions and services all in one package and bundled.
There are certain trends that are driving the demand for your storage solutions. I think multi-cloud is a big driver. Can you talk a little bit about those trends and how you're addressing the demand?
Sure. So what you see is no one is doing a traditional data center anymore, or I should say almost no one. So the world is going to a cloud model. At the same time, most companies, other than the smallest, are not going to cloud only. And the reason is there's all kinds of issues on software service levels, on availability, and quite honestly, cloud, any cloud provider, if you're using a public cloud, is actually the infamous razor and the razor blades. So if you go to Costco and you get that razor, it's $8. But when you get the blades, 16 blades is like 50. So what they're doing is they put the storage out there and it's low cost. But if you need high performance, if you need high availability, if you're constantly moving data back and forth, that's how they make money. So what you're seeing now is a shift where they're using mostly hybrid clouds. Some of the data that they need most frequently stays on site, and some of the data moves off to the cloud. So what we've been able to do is we have dramatically cloudified our software solutions that run on our storage systems, but we also sell our software standalone and allow us our clients to talk to clouds. They can talk to IBM Cloud, they can talk to Amazon, they can talk to Azure. We also sell our software to cloud providers. We then create backup as a service or disaster recovery as a service and use our software, sometimes with our logo on it, sometimes without our logo, where they brand it, but they use our software to provide backup services to businesses or end users. So we see the cloud as a very transformational and here to stay. But the issue is, particularly when you're in the mid to upper enterprise side, you're never going to go fully public cloud, at least certainly not in the next 10 to 15 years, because there's too many issues of things like resiliency, availability, performance, and those things you have more control on site. So certain things you do on site and certain things you do in a public cloud like IBM or Amazon or Microsoft, and that becomes a hybrid cloud. And you need to be able to then move data back and forth, and we're able to do that with our storage solutions.
In the last few years, I think your storage division has gone through some organizational changes. You came on, the leader of the business unit came on, and I believe there's been some strategic changes in the organization that has made a real big impact on the results.
Yes.
And we're seeing those results. Could you please share with us some of the strategic changes that the executive level in your division has made and why and how has that transformed the results?
I think there's a couple things. So one was a change in the leadership. The leadership had been traditional IBM, and if there's anything, a fair assessment from someone who's been mostly an outsider, sometimes people criticize IBM as being too inbound focused, too inwardly focused. And with Ed coming on, what we've done is we have a management team that's part traditional IBM that have been here since they got out of college, and then a number of people who have worked at other companies. Myself, my boss, our VP of Solutions Product Management, our VP of Software Product Management. They're all people who have been outside of IBM, as well as inside. So actually, both myself and Ed were both acquired by IBM in the past and then left the company and then were recruited back. So what you have is a way to get both inbound, okay, that inbound focus that you need in a big bureaucratic entity, but get the outbound focus, okay, and we do that. So what that's done is we've transformed all of the reports. In my case, I've turned over 35% of my marketing team, and all 35% I brought in have not worked at IBM before. So now I've got the right DNA between traditional IBMers who know storage and outsiders who know storage. And by doing it that way, it allows you to get the best of both worlds. The traditional thing you need in the IBM bureaucratic infrastructure, but the things you need are being very outward and outbound focused. So we've done that. The second thing we've done is make sure we're riding the wave, not fighting the wave. So when you look at IBM historically, what it sometimes tends to do, and Ginny has done the same thing for the company at the higher level, is hold on to the old way too long. And then the market passes you by. Even though we have more patents and do more pure research innovation than almost all of the other high-tech companies combined, we're almost like we have our IBM research is almost like we have a Stanford or Harvard or the University of California literally embedded in the company, and most other companies don't have that. But we've also often wasted that and not leveraged these new innovations and been so concerned our customers don't want that. And then in the meantime, our competitors pass us by. Ed has made sure with the new management team and then pushed it all the way down to the bottom that our focus is riding the wave, not fighting the wave. So if the wave is cloud, we're riding that wave. If the wave is AI, we're riding that wave. If the wave is big data analytics, we're riding that wave. We're not going to say nobody wants that. We're going to get out ahead and in front. And in fact, both Forbes magazine and a couple of storage industry analysts have commented that the pace and acceleration of our launches and what we've been bringing to market has increased dramatically in the last 2 years since Ed and this new management team has come in to keep pushing, an agile development model from an engineering perspective and making sure we're pushing out products. And by the way, you can't just push out products. It's got to be products that people want to buy and solutions that people want to buy. By having an outward bound focus, you make sure that you do that. If you're too inwardly bound focus, you only know what happens in your little city. So you have no idea what's going on in Zimbabwe, no idea what's going on in Latin America, no idea what's going on in the Ukraine, no idea what's going on all over the world.
That's right.
Because you're so inbound focused just on Mountain View, California, or just on San Francisco. And what we've done is have some people who still think that way, but made it so everybody needs to look all the way around and see what's going on all over the world. In this case, what's going on all over technology, what's the competition doing, and being very aggressive on how to beat the competition. And sometimes people don't understand that the competition is there to take your business away. And everyone has competition. Or sometimes it's alternative technology that can do what you can do, and it's not direct competition. So we make sure that we're outbound and always looking at what the competition's doing, what are new technology trends that we can ride, and making sure we translate it into solutions that drive revenue for our customers, because that's what they want to see. If you help them make money, that's when they buy your solutions.
You talked about agile software development, and we know that the pace of release is getting faster and faster. The whole velocity of release is amazing nowadays. I think product marketing, technical marketing sometimes has a hard time keeping up with the engineering coming out with all these changes. Can you share with us the processes that you have put in place and the talent, the team that you put in place to address that velocity of engineering releases?
Sure. So one of the things I've instituted is to make sure that my product marketing teams are joined at the hip with the product management teams. They're not joined at the hip and there's a disconnect. That's a problem. Second thing is you want to make sure that you're templating lots of things. And by the way, when the template gets old, you get a new template. Whether that be what you're doing from a social media perspective, what you're doing that as simple as a data sheet template. And when you change it, you change it. And when it gets old, great, you refresh it. But you keep using that over and over. You don't keep reinventing the wheel all the time. You make sure that you have, if you will, sort of a checklist. So when I came to IBM, I showed them a checklist that I created actually when I was at one of the startups. And at the startup, they used to call it Satan's template. And the reason they called it that is it had like 1,000 items that you had to track. So I showed it to the IBM team and said, we have something like that. And then when they saw mine, I sent them the spreadsheet. They go, oh my God. I said, Yeah, me and a guy that I work with in a startup came up with this on a weekend, drinking beers, smoking cigars, and eating pizza. I go, you're IBM, you should have much more than this. And they did. So, getting that very meticulous, also IBM's a big company, so really good methodology of communication to the field, right? You've got marketing teams all over the world that have to, roll it out into their geo, into their language. You got to translate. So making sure that everyone's ahead. I think that what IBM had done in the past, in my group in particular, was they waited till it came out. And I said, no, you don't wait till it comes out. You're planning. So we now send notes to the field, for example, at week minus 12. So if we have a launch on April 1, 12 weeks before April 1, or 12 weeks before July 1st, or 12 weeks before September 1st, we are already telling, here's what's coming on July 1st or September 1st. And IBM historically didn't do that. So if you're joined at the hip with the product management team, if you have tools that you can reuse, and again, when a tool gets old, you can replace it, get a different tool. So you make sure you do that, you template as much as you can, and you get very rigorous and disciplined about how you engage with both the field, and then that includes your sales teams and your channel partners as well. So we've gotten now a very rigid methodology. And I don't mean rigid that we don't change it, because we do change it actually all the time, but rigid in that it's always done on the same cycle. We're always at least 3 months ahead of time, always. Because if you're not, you won't be able to get things out.
Yes, that's a wise advice there. Plan ahead and communicate in advance. I think one of the things that you have been very successful in your role at the storage division is just using social media as a tool to communicate, to evangelize and build awareness. So please share with us about some of the new marketing tactics or practices that you found to be fairly effective that's gaining more use in.
Sure. So I think the big thing is you need to create what I call an integrated marketing machine. And the integrated marketing machine, instead of being silos within marketing, and particularly in a big company versus a startup, and like I said, I've done 7 startups, so I know it well, but I've also been in 3 Fortune 500 companies. So what can tend to be is, in a startup, you might have a silo of engineering in the corner and sales in the corner and marketing. When you're in a big company where marketing can be so split off between product marketing, channel marketing, solutions marketing, technical marketing, corp comm, the web team, the social team, the campaign team, you can create literally in a big company silos within the marketing silo. And that's very bad. So one, we've implemented what we call a diamond team, and the diamond teams meet every single week, and the diamond teams incorporate every function within the marketing sphere. So everything from social to campaigns. Second thing, back to your question on social, is you need to make it an integrated play. So for example, you use social media to drive people to a traditional event. So for example, we just came off of VMworld.
That's right.
And 3 weeks before VMworld started, we were starting to social media in various venues, whether it be LinkedIn, IBM Storage has its own Facebook page, whether it be Twitter, and then encouraging the sales team to do it, because everyone's got their own nuance of audiences, right? So for example, almost all the storage and IT analysts follow me, okay? Well, not every customer does, but they follow the sales guy or that marketing person. So what you do is have an integrated cross the boat from a social perspective, have everybody reinforcing everything. And in this case, the example is using it to drive traffic to a traditional venue, which is a trade show. Or for example, coincidentally, today I tweeted, and IBM Storage Facebooked and LinkedIn, that we are having an event in Toronto on Tuesday, an event in New York on Thursday, an event starting in Amsterdam next Friday. So we're doing, and then tying that back to our overarching message, which is the multi-cloud message. And you need to come and see us at these events with a link to where to go register. Same thing with PR. You get a great write-up. So we had a great write-up just about our launch. So guess what I did? I turned it into a quote because it was from a magazine, from a website. I turned it a quote and I tweeted it. Then I linked it in. When I did the link in, and I have got the paid LinkedIn, so I can see who looks at my stuff and everything.
Yes.
Right, the analytics, which we do the Frankton, by the way, you can't. So if anyone who's watching this is not on paid LinkedIn, you're crazy, because everything is all about metrics.
Yes.
And if you don't metric it, right, it's all got to be data driven. So I looked, and after 6 hours, there had been 2,700 views in 6 hours.
Wow.
Me putting it on LinkedIn. So that's the kind of thing you got to do. In this case, I was leveraging a press coverage of us to say how great IBM is. And by the way, then I wove it into, by the way, this press is so, guess what? You can see it in Toronto next Tuesday. So I had a link to the article in it and then a link to the registration to see it in Toronto. I did the same thing again this morning, except I took Toronto out and put New York because they're both the same week, but different physical locations. So in this case, I wove social media, press coverage, and a physical event all into one integrated message and leverage social media to get the word out. So those are kind of things you have to do, and people tend to not do that. They tend to view them as silos. PR is over here. Okay, we get a great article. Okay, now what are we going to do? Are we going to use that for progression? How are we using that to get top of funnel? Are we using that to drive people to a trade show, to a webcast? Come see use the quote, at our webcast next Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Time. Well, guess what? A lot of people don't do that. And third party, like a successful article or from an analyst firm, those are not you saying how great you are or your product or solutions. That's a third party.
More validation.
Right.
More credibility.
Exactly. Yes. More credibility. And that's exactly the kind of things you need to do with social media.
That's a great example. Thank you for sharing that real experience, and that's a great example for those in the marketing field, integrate marketing. One of the things that we are very fascinated to hear is Watson. You know, Watson gets great coverage, and we are wondering, how are you leveraging Watson technology, a lot of the innovations that IBM has done to actually do marketing practices? How is that?
So we leverage AI in our division in two ways. One, we've incorporated AI into our actual solutions, so it can help you make the storage solution faster by seeing what's going on and predicting. You can predict when you're going to run out of capacity. It'll even tell you when you've got problems proactively, okay, and then say, here's the solution. So that's built into the product set. So we use AI that way. We'll also use AI from a marketing perspective. So there's actually a marketing tool that they have, but we've also integrated it into all sorts of things, whether that be demand generation activities, social media, what we do with a trade show. So all of that's been woven in around all of IBM corporately. We just haven't taken advantage of that central function and do things like, okay, so if we're going to do paid social, where should we do paid social? Well, they use AI, artificial intelligence, to figure, well, we're most likely to get some if we use Google. We're most likely to do it if we use these 3 storage mag websites, or, and that's part of what the AI helps you do. And it also helps you see trends in analytics. So you can see, well, it looks like 47% of the people that saw us at VMworld also looked at us on searchstorage.com. Well, AI helps you do that. It's not, it takes the manual nature of trying to figure that out and helps you understand what you're doing. And again, marketing, particularly when you're doing demand gen, is all about metrics and measurement. And if it doesn't work, you stop it, you do something else. But if you don't measure it, you have no idea if you're wasting money or not. You think, and even if the ad looks good, and people say, oh God, that ad is beautiful. But if no one looks at it, who cares? If no one then progresses down the funnel, who cares? And so that's what metrics are designed to do, and whether it be Watson or other AI tools that are out in the industry. But the point is, AI has come to marketing, and marketing teams need to be taking advantage of that, and they always need to measure.
Great. Those are great advice. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Eric, and I think that the audience really appreciate all the insights that you share. So thank you very much for coming on, and thank you to the audience for watching Tech It with Jessica.
Great, thank you.